Morning, everybody. It's the 9th of March. We're Signal Centre Talking Ball. I'm Joe Neighbour, joined by Steve O'Hare. Good morning, Steve.
Morning, mate. All right?
Yeah, not bad, thanks. You?
Yes, tickety-boo here.
Your other football team did all right last night?
Yeah, didn't they?
Stevie, 2 teams.
Yeah. Well, it's 3 or 4 now, actually. Man City.
Yeah, anyone who's top or challenging to the top. Good form.
Yeah, Rangers now as well.
Oh, yeah, Rangers, of course.
Rather than Celtic. Celtic's all my life, but
supporting
Rangers.
Gerrard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Who'll probably be back at Liverpool before we know it.
It looks that way, doesn't it? The way it's going.
It does. Yeah. It doesn't seem like Jurgen can do much about what's going on. So,
No. We'll see.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, it is pretty slow on the news front today on the market, so we can obviously talk a little bit about sport. But yeah, the only major news really is about the $1.9 trillion package, which is all poised to sail through the House later when the bill is put in front of the lawmakers. So it looks like that's going to go through as expected. Elsewhere, there was a little bit of a reignition on the GameStop mania. That surged by 40% yesterday as there's some chat about a activist investor, Ryan Cohen, coming in to help the company shift its e-commerce strategy or put an e-commerce strategy in place. So that's seen a bit of a push there. Elsewhere, not seen a huge amount else. Did you watch the Meghan and Harry interview yesterday?
Yeah, I did watch part of it actually. Sat down and watched part of it. All very sad. Well, whatever the outcome is, it's not great for the royal family.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, incredibly sad. I know there's a lot of people out there that don't believe what she's saying, especially. I think a lot of that's down to just I think there could be a lot of truth to it. Why not? Why are we so surprised about that? I wouldn't be surprised about that. The institution of the royal family is very much stiff upper lip. So I'm sure there was times she was told to just get on with it, but not being able to get help when she's feeling like that is pretty disgusting.
Considering William and Kate set up a charity, Heads Together, didn't they? Which is all about mental health.
Yeah, exactly. And you can't say that they probably haven't suffered it, because they probably have. They've dealt with it. Some people can't deal with it in the same way. So, some people need a little bit of extra help, which is nothing to be ashamed of. And but it is something to be ashamed of, not helping them people get that help, or stopping them from getting that help.
Definitely.
So it looks like they were pushed into a bit of a corner, and Harry obviously did what he did to protect his family. So on the whole of it, I mean, I'm neither way on the rules. I like it. It's a good thing for the country, but behaviour like that, if it's all true, is not really great. It's just that sort of like, when Harry speaks, you sort of think, really sort of like, you can see how honest and genuine he is, and it's difficult when Meghan speaks. You sort of like, you see her as a bit of an actress.
You can't take the fact that she's an actress out of your mind, can you?
Which is really sad. And I sort of like, but so you've got to try and look past that. And I think there was moments within that interview that if you were able to look past it, there was like moments of real vulnerability, and you sort of think, well, that's not acting. So, but again, I don't know if we'll get another side to the story or not. I imagine there's sort of like, the press is sort of like getting a real sort of like the brunt of this, which is well deserved, but then the establishment probably have a lot of unspoken unwritten rules that go on between the press and the royal family. Ask Andrew how that's going.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I just keep coming back to that and thinking, do you know what, if that's the case, if there's any truth in that, then I'm on Harry and Meghan's side, because how can they let him get away with that? If you put anything about him derogatory on any of the social channels, they get blocked immediately. So it's
seriously
levels of
Let's do something. Let's post something now.
I follow some guy who takes the piss out of everyone on Instagram. It's quite funny, but he posted something. It was taken down within an hour.
Really?
on Prince Andrew. Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of like, that's, I think, it could be the beginning of the end, which is quite, but we are in a world of change, and things that used to be acceptable aren't acceptable anymore, and rightly so. So, let's sort of like deal with it, and then sort of like try and learn from it.
Yep, dogs agree. Anyway, let's get on with some charts, shall we? So there was a little bit of easing in the Treasury yields yesterday, and that was bullish for equities. I think we saw the DAX made an all-time high yesterday.
Yeah.
So I'll hand it over to you, Stephen. You can run us through some charts.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, I'll just quickly go over crude oil. You just mentioned a little bit of obviously if the 1.9 trillion goes through, this is good for the oil because the economy is opening up, and there's this will be increased demand on oil. But we are in a little bit of a
I had a little bit of a punt on oil this morning. Well, not a punt.
Yeah, can't call it a punt, Joe.
Gap fill on the hourly chart that you've got there.
Right.
Do you want to zoom in on that?
Yeah.
Make it full screen, maybe. So yeah, there was a gap over from that low there. So
from
right
here
on that low. Yeah, and then we posted that hammer candle this morning. Yeah. So I bought on the close of that hammer.
Yeah, nice.
And it stopped below the low, so it's working out quite nicely at the moment.
Yeah, that works out very nice. And obviously the first test really is 65.60. That was the swing high from the 4 o'clock candle and the swing high from the 4 o'clock candle this morning. So every 12 hours they come in and sell it. There's a little algo going there. So, but just be a little bit careful with this sort of like bearish flag almost looking thing. But I like the way that this made a new low. So really, you can't really call it a bearish flag because it'll be really, if you drew the line truly, it would be downward trending.
Yeah,
like that. So not really a flag, but just the shape and the feel of it. If we break above here, then I think that really opens up a new attack to the upside. But I'd be a little bit cautious here. Very short term, maybe there's potential for a little bit of a reversal. Things don't tend to go up in a straight line. On the gold side of things, this remains under pressure, and it looks like it's really trying to push through that 1670, 1680 level, and hasn't done it. So the low this week is 1677. That was yesterday, and we've recovered really nicely today. So, and we're up already at 1700. So good potential again for a reversal here. Maybe that's because the dollar's pared back a little bit of its gains. On the indice front, we saw Ftse performed okay yesterday. We've got this, it's not a double bottom formation because it's not at the bottom of a trend, but we could still see a reaction if we do break above the 69.60 level. We're trading 67.25, so a bit of a way off before we get there, but very positive turnaround from March, start of March. We've had a really nice, decent run up. Looks a little bit clearer maybe on the shorter term chart. Looks a bit choppy there. I like it on the 4-hour chart. And if you look at it as well, this has the sort of like the likings of a inverse head and shoulders. Obviously, again, it's not at the bottom of the downtrend, so it's not a true one, but it's still reacts the same way. Yeah, it's more of a continuation. So that looks pretty promising. And if we get a break above 67.40, and then 6800 comes into range, and we could see a potential attack on the highs from back. Well, the yearly highs. DAX, like you say, nice little reaction above these highs. We had the swing high here of the 8th of Feb, swing high here of the 3rd of March, and that was around about 14,200, and we smashed through it and extended really quickly higher, and also forming a potential bullish flag there. So that looks pretty promising. So Dow again toying with the all-time highs, having a little play there, little tickle, lovely. No sign of that slowing either. Nasdaq though, different story. The tech sector is taking a beating. I saw on trading floor audio It's a Squawk service, news service. Nasdaq 100 has not diverged this much from the Dow since 1993, and that's from Bloomberg, I think, the headline. Dow sets intraday record while tech benchmark gets slam dunk.
Do we know what happened after that?
Yeah.
Do our charts go back far enough in 93?
After that, it diverged less. I don't know if they will go back that far, will they? So,
sorry, put you under pressure there. No, it doesn't.
No, not on that chart. There will be. We'll have a little hunt around for that and maybe show something tomorrow.
Okay.
But yeah, so feels pretty rosy-ish in the indices. I think we'll still get a bit of two-way price action. Ftse, obviously, decent performance yesterday, but if the dollar starts to sort of like sulk, then Ftse might sulk and not get carried away with everything else. So yeah, still continuing. Like we said, I think it was last week when we saw the sell-off started, we were saying, oh, this could be the start of the sell-off, the turnaround, and hey ho, we're new highs again on some of the indices. So, but the Nasdaq definitely feels a bit sickly. So that's pretty much it from the comms and the indices. What about FX, Joe?
Oh, sorry, just trying to look for that Nasdaq chart. Okay, let's share what's going on here. So obviously we talked yesterday about dollar strength, and that was very much the theme. So let's just have a quick look at the overall basket. So we've got a daily line chart here of the dollar index. As you can see, we saw this break up above resistance and now arguably seeing a little bit of a pullback today. If we then throw on some other currencies to see where they are at the moment, we've got the British pound, which is still trending higher, maybe having a bit of a corrective move lower, possibly a bit of stalling before a renewed move to the upside. We've got the Aussie currency, which we often talk about along with the New Zealand currency as being sort of risk-on assets, and if they're moving higher, that tends to be a good feeling in the FX space, and people are happy taking risk, but they continue to sell off. Although we've seen a decent bounce back today. This daily chart will not publish, so it's not up to date like the dollar index one, so we are seeing a bounce back in some of these currencies today. What else we've got? Swiss franc continues to be shunned, as does the Japanese yen, both looking very sick and showing no immediate signs of bouncing, and euro is just in that green line there, just continue to be stuck in the middle. So if we look at the candle charts here, we've got first up dollar index. So we had this break up above 91.60, which we continue to speak about. Now we're in the process of maybe forming a little bit of a correction, maybe a pullback to retest that support level at 91.60. Although how this candle is now forming on the daily chart is a little bit of a concern. We made a new high this morning. Or overnight, and now we are reversing all of that. And if we reverse the entire price action that we saw yesterday, then that would be a pretty nasty looking outside candle or engulfing candle, which may suggest that we actually see a deeper correction lower. But still sort of holding out hope that we will see some buyers come in, maybe between 91.60 down to 91.40 maybe. So not giving up on the dollar reversal just yet. Looking elsewhere, the Aussie currencies, as I said, are bouncing back. I mean, although Aussie has sold off a bit, yen continues to be pretty hideous, so that continues to trend higher quite nicely. Aussie dollar, well, we've got this break of trend here, and maybe posting a sort of engulfing candle today, so maybe a sign that we will see a bit of a move higher. Will that be rejected at the underside of this channel? We'll have to wait and see, and obviously that will coincide probably with a retest of that 91.60 level on dollar index. Looking at euro dollar, often the inverse of dollar index, so we've seen this breakdown. Maybe looking for a retest of this 119.50-ish level before a continuation lower following this break of the channel. So a bit of a corrective move back on some of these currencies today, but maybe it's a case of just a corrective move before a continued move in the directions that we've suggested. One pair that looks quite interesting for me today is cable. This is the trend channel on the daily chart. I'm wondering whether or not we're forming some sort of wedge pattern here, or maybe a flag. coming down into support at 137.60. If we can break above this short-term wedge pattern, then maybe that will signify a continuation of the move higher, suggesting that we will see sterling outperform the dollar, even though the dollar does look as though it could be turning the corner in the short term. So that's quite an interesting one for me today. Other than that, it's pretty much as you were, I think. The only currency pair, one of the other currency pairs the dollar is not doing much against is against the Canadian dollar. Continues to trade in this really large, maybe ending wedge pattern, but in order to confirm that, it needs to break above this 127.40 level here, which it's tried to do on a couple of occasions and so far failed. So for now, it looks like we're going to see a continuation lower, but I think price action may be choppy for the foreseeable, and eventually we will see a break of this level at 127.40, and that will result in a fairly decent corrective move higher. So keeping an eye on that. Oh yes, sorry, there was one more chart I wanted to show, which was dollar yen. So this is quite an interesting one. This is just go to a weekly chart here. Steve showed this, I think, last week. So we've got this really big downtrend line on dollar yen, and pretty much failed this morning at the high of the trend channel there, around about 109.30.
I think it was only yesterday we talked about this.
Was it? Sorry,
I think so.
All merging into one. Yeah. So dollar yen is into that level. If we zoom into the daily chart, we've got an 88.6% fib level from this swing high on the 5th of June down to these swing lows on the 6th of June. And what we're posting now is a bit of a shooting star candle there, having failed at that level. So maybe a play there on dollar yen for a swingish sort of trade. Stop loss above the high that we saw today, targeting a reasonable sort of corrective move to the downside there. So that's one that I'd be keeping an eye on today.
Cool.
That's pretty much it for the FX roundup.
Nice.
Okay, so gun to the head yesterday. I'm going to skirt over that pretty quickly as well, because there wasn't much nice to mention there. We had two trades yesterday. What did we do? They were both stopped out. I know that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I went long of euro sterling. Just got stopped out by a couple of ticks on that one before it did actually move in the right direction, which happens. And oil, you went long of oil yesterday, and that was stopped out too. So let's try and get back on the horse today. Steve, have you got an idea for us?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to look at cryptocurrencies now. We haven't really talked about these much. They've been sort of like sideways price action over the sort of like, I know the swings are pretty substantial, but we've seen this sideways price action since we had this rejection of the highs around about 57.5, 5,800, 58,000. The sell-off took us down to just above 44,000, so it held this nice support here. So that is, for me, is quite clear support. The line in the sand, as it were. And then we've posted a bit of a bullish hammer after this bullish engulfing, and we're seeing this ABC correction higher, which we're sort of getting close to targeting now. So the next the target for me is 57,662, the all-time high, and I think we're sort of well on the way there and potentially could hit that quite quickly. Also, this formation, I'll take it down to the 4-hour chart so it's a little bit clearer. Let's get rid of the cloud. And again, we talk about head and shoulders formations all the time, and this could be a continuation formation. Well, I mean, if I tell you what, if we took it down to there and ignored the spike higher, then that's looking pretty nice, and that looks to extend higher than the all-time high. So I'm going to go with a long in Bitcoin. Why not? Everyone shouts. Hey. I did see there was a couple of other bigger companies trying to lumping up on a few billion Bitcoin yesterday.
Okay.
Can't remember who it was. It sort of hit the headlines. I think they were putting about 1.5 billion into it. So what risk reward on that is 2.8. That's not enough for Bitcoin, surely. So we're getting long at 54,200. The stop would be at 53,200. And we'll have a nice little target at 60,200. We're going to spike through that 60,000 level. How does that feel? Little 6-to-1. There we go. There's the daddy-o. Happy with that one.
Boom.
What about you, Joe? What you got? What you got?
Oh, I'm struggling. I did like that dollar yen.
I've put you off now, haven't I?
I like that dollar yen idea, but if I look at the intraday chart, sort of on the hourly, I'm just a bit concerned that it's all already done a bit too much today.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? It's all about timing.
But I mean, the only reason it's put me off on the daily chart is because the stop loss is too big. We're talking 80 ticks, which I don't really want to do.
What, on dollar yen?
Yeah. Right. Let's go. Let's go there. Let's sell it now at 108.63. Stop loss just above the highs of the day. Really tight. 109.26, and target a move down to 107.18. 2.28. So looking for 150 ticks on the downside. Yeah, that would be nice. Let's see how it goes.
Cool. Like it.
What's going to happen to move that today? Well, obviously we talked about the stimulus. We've got
it's not a lot more than that, actually, is there? There doesn't seem to be. I think they're sort of hunting around for things.
We've got Q4 Eurozone GDP out at 10 a.m. and then we've got 11:30 tonight Australian Westpac consumer confidence. So not a lot, really. So we'll have to wait and see. Unless there's anything else, Steve, I think we can probably wrap it up there.
I think we can wrap it up there, Joe.
Lovely. Right. Well, have a good day, everyone, and we'll be back tomorrow morning.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.